everyone, welcome. My name's Anissa and I'm the online English teacher. You might know that I've been teaching English as a second language for over 20 years. And in that time, I have amassed a huge range of tips, tricks, activities that are going to help you improve your English quickly, efficiently, and for free. I don't want to see you wasting hundreds or thousands of dollars, pounds, euros, whatever currency learning something that you can really do by yourself at home in only 5 minutes a day. Now, I am not one of those YouTubers that's saying if you only do this 5 minutes a day for a month, you will magically be fluent in English at the end of it. Of course not. But you will definitely see an improvement. So, today we're going to be looking at how to incorporate pictures, photos into your daily study routine. Now, I recently recommended this to one of my students, and they did not like the idea. They humored me, of course, but I could see that they didn't see the value in it. So today we are going to be looking at a photo together. I will walk you through a full exercise that you can do by yourself. 5 minutes is all you need. If you have longer, great. We're going to be looking at grammar, vocabulary, and how you should approach this type of exercise. So if you're ready, let's go. Just to let you know, this is a longer video, and that's because I am going to be walking you through this whole process step by step, and I'm going to be giving you my comments along the way so you can see what your teachers are talking about when we say level up your vocabulary and add more grammar. I'll be pointing out why the different sentences are good and what we can do to make them better. So do stick with me for the whole thing because this is going to be a very useful video. Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. Where do you get your photos from? Well, these days we are inundated with photos. But rather than going to social media sites, I prefer to use professional photos from news sites. I've linked some of my favorite ones below. Today we're going to be looking at a photo from Reuters. Okay, so the task that we're looking at is to describe a photo. It is really useful to help you focus on specific vocabulary and use grammatical structures that you might have already studied in other situations. Now, if you are studying in preparation for a language exam, like the Cambridge suite of exams, for example, keep in mind that language exams often ask you to compare photos, not just describe one photo. So there is additional grammar, additional structures, additional requirements when you compare photos. That's not to say that this isn't going to be useful, it's just not everything that you need to do in a language exam. Okay, so this might sound quite simple, and it can be. So if you have a lower level of English, that's fine. You can still do this activity. But today I'm going to be working through, and we're going to start with a simple sentence. Then we're going to level up the vocabulary using more topic-specific terms, maybe some expressions, some idioms. And then we're also going to be improving our sentence structure. So we're going to be using more complex sentences, putting in maybe some relative clauses, maybe some conditionals, maybe we can use some modals of deduction to try and guess what might have led up to the point when this picture was taken, speculate about what might happen next. I'm not sure. I'm going to be doing this with you. So let's get going. Before I forget, pause this video, go and get a notebook, a piece of paper, a pen, something to write with, open a Word document. I'd like you to follow along with me. Answer the questions as we go and see how you can do this yourself any day with any photo. Okay, so this is the photo that we are going to be focusing on today. And the first question is, what do you see? What do you see? Take a minute and pause this video. Write down any words, any phrases, any vocabulary that comes to mind. And then try to write a sentence or a couple of sentences answering the question, What do you see? I'll see you in a minute. Great. Hopefully you've got your own sentence. If not, you can just follow along with me anyway. Let's look at a very basic example. A wild cat and a piece of wood. Now, before you think, whoa, this is too easy and you jump to another video, we're going to make this more difficult. But let's look at why I like this very basic sentence. A wild cat. So this is a good use of wild to differentiate it from a common house cat. Great. And we've also got a piece of wood. That's a good quantifier for the uncountable noun wood. So it might look like a very basic sentence, but there's actually stuff I like in this. Okay, so now let's look at another sentence. A tiger by a tree. Okay, these are not technically sentences. We don't have any verbs in them yet, but it is a nice phrase. We're getting more specific here by mentioning the species of cat. It's a tiger. And I love prepositions. We've got that preposition by, so it's showing that relative positioning of where is the tiger in relation to the piece of wood, or now we're calling it a tree. Great. What about a young tiger beside part of a tree? So I think that's quite a reasonable assessment. This tiger doesn't look very old, so you could say it's a young tiger. And it's definitely not a full tree. So part of a tree, that is being more specific and it's being accurate. So I like that. But a question for you. Young tiger, a baby tiger. What do you call a young tiger? We've got some common ones that we use a lot. Dog, puppy, cat, kitten, chicken, chick. Great, but what do you call a baby tiger? If you don't know, pause and ask Google. Okay, so hopefully Google told you that it is called a cub. Now, you do have to specify tiger cub because we use the term cub to talk about the young of many different animals, like a bear cub, for example. So now our phrase is getting a little bit more specific. We can say a tiger cub beside part of a tree. But what do you call that part of the tree trunk that it's not a full tree? It's obviously been cut down, damaged in some way, and the roots are still there, but it's not going to grow. There is a specific term for that. Do you know? Does Google know? And the answer is it is a stump, a tree stump. Again, we use stump for a few other things as well, so we do need to specify. So now we've got a young tiger is a tiger cub, and that part of a tree is a tree stump. So that's how we have just elevated our vocabulary to be a lot more specific. But now we need to get some verbs in here to make this phrase into an actual sentence. So think about what the tiger is doing. What is the tiger doing? So what is the tiger doing? Sitting. Yes, okay, the tiger is sitting, but we can do better than that. The tiger is sort of low down, like it's trying to hide from something. And that is the verb to crouch, to crouch. So the tiger or tiger cub is crouching. Now, there are many tiger cubs in the world, so we're going to say a tiger cub is crouching behind a tree stump because there are many tree stumps in the world. But instead of focusing on that positioning of the tiger and how it's sitting, we can really see those tiger eyes. And we might want to say it's looking at something. But it seems to be trying to look around the tree in kind of a sneaky way. So this would be to peer, to peer. And it's probably watching something quite interesting. So you could add in an adverb. How is it peering? Well, curiously, curiously. It wants to know what's going on, maybe, or it could be frightened of something. We'll get to our speculation later. So, right now, we've got a tiger cub is curiously peering round a tree stump. This sounds so much nicer than it did at the beginning. Okay, so let's take this vocabulary and put it into a lovely sentence. Remember, the question was, what do you see? So, I see a tiger cub, which is curiously peering round a tree stump. Lovely. That's a great example of a relative clause, using the relative pronoun which to add more information about the tiger cub. However, it's probably not something I would say personally. I would use a reduced relative clause and end up with, I see a tiger cub curiously peering round a tree stump. So you might have noticed that I removed the relative pronoun which. I also removed the auxiliary verb. Now, you can't do this with every single relative clause, but in this case, the tiger cub that I see, so it's the object, what I see, is also the subject of peering. It's the subject of that action that it's doing. So for that reason, it fits the criteria and I am able to reduce it and make a reduced relative clause. This is not an easy grammar point. I said we're going to level things up. If you would like me to make a full video on what reduced relative clauses are and how you can use them, then please leave me a comment below and I'll do just that. We started with a simple question. What do you see in this photo? And let's compare our first basic idea, a wild cat and a piece of wood. And our final idea is, I see a tiger cub curiously peering round a tree stump. Okay, so the first lesson is, don't just go with your first idea. Take the time to gradually build on it. Stop and think about the nouns that you need, the adjectives, the verbs, and the adverbs. Ask Google if you're not sure of something, or I guess ChatGPT nowadays. The next question is, where could the tiger be? I'd like you to build on your assumptions here, and we are using the modal could or might to indicate we're not sure, but there is a possibility. So take a look at that photo, pause this video, and think, where could the tiger be? Earlier we mentioned that this is a wild cat, not a domestic cat. Now, the tiger could be in the wild, in the jungle. The opposite is the tiger could be in captivity. But personally, I think this looks too natural to be a zoo. So let's say the tiger could be in the jungle. Note, although there are many jungles in the world, we normally use the definite article the, in the jungle. Now, we are only basing our opinion on this one photo, so let's make that really clear. Choose your favorite phrase to add. It looks as if, it looks as if, it appears as if, it appears as if, it seems as if, it seems as if. And this is going to be used to make it really clear to the listener that I am not sure, I am taking a guess. And my guess is based on the photograph that I can see. That is why we are using these lovely verbs, look, appear, seem. Another question asking you to take a guess and think about possibility. And this question is, what might the tiger be doing? What might the tiger be doing? Take a minute, think. think about this. Don't use the same verbs as before. So sitting, crouching, peering, we've already mentioned that. Now, think about something different. There are lots of different verbs that you could use. We might say, the tiger might be hunting, or the tiger might be hiding. Again, we're using the different modals of could and might to indicate that it is a possibility and we're not sure. So let's combine these sentences and work on our vocabulary. What general words collocate with hunt and hide? Now, if you've been in my classes or you've watched any of my videos, you'll probably know that I am a big fan of collocations. These are the chunks of language that are going to help you sound more natural when you're speaking. So you don't just learn individual words, you learn what they collocate or go with. For example, you can make a decision or take a decision, but you can't do a decision. Oh, that sounds bad. We can have heavy rain or strong wind, but you can't have strong rain and heavy wind. Oh. So these are just natural combinations. Think about the natural combinations that you would have with hide and hunt. So tigers are pretty dangerous creatures. I'm not quite sure what they would be hiding from specifically, but the general term predator would work very well here. So the predator is going to attack. The predator is dangerous. So the tiger might be hiding from a predator in the jungle. Now, I don't know exactly what tigers hunt, so let's be general about this and say prey. You hunt prey. It's not a prey, it's not the prey. But if you want to be specific, you could say the tiger might be hunting its prey in the jungle. I don't know if this tiger is a male or a female, so I'm not going to say his prey or her prey. Let's just say its prey. So now we have got two lovely example sentences with topic-specific vocabulary and appropriate modals. You know, if you wanted to level this up even further, we could use the verb to stalk prey. So that's that actual motion when the cat is moving and following the prey just before it pounces on it. So we could say the tiger might be stalking its prey in the jungle, just as an example of more specific vocabulary. Whether you think this tiger is hiding or hunting, that's really up to you. You've explained that with your modal. But it would be a good idea to add your reasoning as well. So add on that little phrase, because. So if you think it's hiding, why? Why do you think the tiger is hiding? Because it looks scared? Okay. Because it looks young? Okay. And now you're actually recycling that verb that we talked about earlier, looks. It looks young, it seems young, it appears young. So that vocabulary is going to come in handy in lots of different places. Now, it's your opinion and it's your reasoning, so don't worry if you're wrong. You're just describing what you see and your interpretation of the photo. Now, let's add some reinforcement to make it crystal clear that I'm not sure. So choose your favorite phrase. I think. I'm not sure, but it looks like. If you ask me, it appears as if. If I had to hazard a guess, I'd say. Which of those is your favorite phrase? I guess most of us use I think quite a lot, but I really like the last option. If I had to hazard a guess. Now, we can definitely use the collocation take a guess, or just directly say the verb guess. But in this case, hazard a guess is a lovely example of a lesser used collocation. And I'd say is giving me that conditional idea in there. So if I had to hazard a guess, I'd say, okay, we are not going to do any more speculation about this photo because this video is already rather long. But I've got one more bonus question for you, just so you can sprinkle on a little bit of extra grammar, which is especially good if you're going to be using this in an exam type setting. So, where could this photo have been taken? Or when could this photo have been taken? Take a minute and think about that. Look at the grammar that I've used in the question, and that's going to help you use the same grammar in your answer. Always pay attention to the questions that teachers ask. Okay, that's a general piece of advice, but it's because we're not asking these questions just for the fun of it. We are giving you a really good example of the structure we expect to see in your answer. So, a good answer to this would be, this photo could have been taken in a remote jungle. I'm using that same structure. It could have been taken. It's passive voice. I don't know who took the photo. Maybe I don't care who took the photo. Now, we could say, I get the feeling, I get the feeling that this photo was taken in a remote jungle. Notice I've removed that modal now because I don't need it. I'm expressing the idea that I'm not sure with the phrase, I get the feeling. So in the second part, I can just use the main verb, was taken. I don't need an extra modal. Notice how the article has now changed. I've added the adjective remote. So it's not the remote jungle, it's a remote jungle. There are many remote jungles in the world, and I'm using one as an example. Who knows? It might have been taken just prior to the tiger pouncing on its prey. Now I'm incorporating the time as well as the location of this photo. So, why do I like these sentences? They're in passive, which is always a lovely way to demonstrate that you know this structure. And it's got that really nice discourse marker. Who knows? That makes it sound very conversational. Again, I'm expressing that I'm just taking a guess, but it's more engaging. Now, let's just add in a few discourse markers and some more linkers to form a complete answer. Remember the question. What do you see in this photo? Well, I see a tiger cub cautiously peering around a tree stump. And I get the feeling that this photo was taken in a remote jungle. Honestly, if I had to hazard a guess, I'd say the cub might be hiding from a predator in the jungle because it looks quite young. But who knows? The tiger might have been stalking its prey, and this photo might have been taken just prior to the tiger pouncing on it. Okay, so in this video, we have seen how you can take a really easy question and a common photo and then just improve your answer. Keep asking yourself extra questions. Go to Google, get some more vocabulary, look for collocations, look for synonyms. Think about different ways of expressing the same idea. Rewrite, rewrite, rewrite your sentences. Link them together, and then you're going to end up with something quite impressive at the end of it. Don't do this on computer, because if you do it in a Word document, then you are tempted to just delete things and replace them. And then you don't get that idea of what your first answer was like and the progression of what ended up as a really nice answer at the end. Okay, so go out and buy yourself a pretty notebook and just incorporate this into your daily study. You only need 5 minutes every day to do this. If you want to take longer, sure, but you don't need it. I hope you have found this video incredibly useful. If you have any questions about how to do this, or if you want to give me your example sentence that you wrote, please leave me a comment below. And of course, as always, like, subscribe, and keep practicing. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.